Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're watching this, you probably already know the feeling. That persistent, heavy brain fog. The lingering cognitive fatigue that just won't lift. It's that deeply frustrating inability to sit down and focus on a single task without your mind completely rebelling against you. For so many of us, especially right now, navigating the endless demands of modern life, our nervous systems are pushed to the absolute brink. We're running on this continuous, exhausting loop of high cortisol and sleep deprivation. And I just want to start by validating that exhaustion. It is incredibly common, but more importantly, it's something we could actually change. Okay, let's dive into this. Why, despite all your absolute best efforts, the productivity hacks, the endless cups of coffee, the strict time blocking, why do you still feel like you're trying to think through wet cement? Why does your brain feel so viscerally exhausted right now? It's a question that is quite literally plaguing millions of high-functioning adults every single day. Well, I need you to hear this loud and clear. Your cognitive fatigue is not a personal failure. It's really not. It's not a lack of willpower, and it's not a lack of discipline. It is a literal biological response to modern systemic stress and some very specific, often hidden dietary factors that we expose our bodies to. Your brain is reacting exactly the way it was evolutionarily designed to, under a state of chronic overload. Section 1. The neuroscience of cognitive fatigue, the invisible antagonists of focus. To actually fix this problem, we have to look under the hood at what's going on in our cellular environment. Think about the fatigued brain for a second. When we're chronically stressed or eating diets heavy in ultra-processed foods, we trigger high oxidative stress and inflammation. Basically, these harmful molecules called free radicals build up, they overwhelm the brain's natural defenses, and they actively damage your cells. But then, look at the regulated brain. This is a state of high neuroplasticity, incredibly efficient cellular waste clearance, and stable, enduring energy. And getting to that regulated state isn't about just trying harder or working more, it's about fundamentally changing your cellular environment. And that environment, well, it's largely made of lipids. In fact, your brain is roughly 60% fat, which makes your cognitive function highly, directly vulnerable to the actual quality of the fats you consume. Healthy fats literally build the physical architecture of your brain cells. They form the defense systems that protect against all that oxidative stress we were just talking about. Section 2. Molecules for deep focus. Biohacking neurotransmitters with whole foods. The amazing news is we don't just have to accept cognitive decline or brain fog. We can actively utilize specific, wildly powerful molecules found in whole foods to cross the blood-brain barrier, biohack our neurotransmitters, and actually repair our neural pathways. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer mechanical power of a compound called oleocanthal. You'll find this in high-quality extra virgin olive oil, and it acts like a microscopic molecular cleanup crew. Clinical research shows it actually upregulates major transport proteins at the blood-brain barrier, so it literally accelerates the clearance of amyloid beta plaques, which is basically the metabolic waste that clogs up our neural pathways, by up to 30%. You are essentially eating a biological solvent for brain fog. Next up is choline. This is a nutrient that honestly flies way under the radar, but it is an absolute non-negotiable for burnout recovery. Your brain uses choline to synthesize acetylcholine, which is the primary neurotransmitter responsible for memory, learning, and getting into that state of deep focus. Plus, it maintains the physical integrity of your brain's cell membranes. Studies have actually shown that consuming just 300 milligrams of choline a day significantly improves verbal memory and delays cognitive aging. So you're probably wondering, where do we get these focus-enhancing molecules? And no, it's not from complex pharmaceuticals. Egg yolks are an absolute powerhouse here, delivering about 150 milligrams of choline each. Green tea provides some truly unique amino acids. Dark chocolate, the kind with high cocoa content, delivers flavanols that trigger vasodilation, basically flooding your brain with oxygen-rich blood. And cold water fatty fish, like salmon, deliver the crucial DHA and EPA omega-3s required to rebuild that 60% fat brain structure. Just seamlessly integrating a handful of these into your routine can dramatically improve your executive function. Speaking of green tea, the compounds within it, specifically EGCG and L-theanine, are just a masterclass in biological synergy. L-theanine structurally resembles glutamate and actually increases alpha wave activity in your brain. And when you put that together with EGCG, they block amyloid stress while keeping your brain in this beautiful, calm state of relaxed alertness. You get all the focus and vigilance you need, but you completely bypass that jagged anxiety and the inevitable afternoon crash that comes with heavy caffeine use. Section 3. fueling the gut-brain axis, the microbiome's role in emotional resilience. Let's move to and see how this builds into an even larger system. Because we really can't talk about rescuing the brain without talking about the gut. This is the gut-brain axis. It's a bidirectional communication highway deeply connected by the vagus nerve. The trillions of beneficial bacteria in your gastrointestinal tract act almost like a second brain. They are directly involved in regulating massive neurotransmitters. We're talking serotonin for your mood, GABA for calming your nervous system down, and brain-derived neurotrophic factor for neuroplasticity. So when your gut is inflamed, your brain is inflamed. It really is that simple. Optimizing this axis requires practical, everyday choices. Fermented foods, things like kefir and sauerkraut, introduce probiotics that balance out your microbiome. The complex carbohydrates in high-fiber whole grains like oats provide the slow-release fuel those microbes desperately need to create anti-inflammatory short-chain fatty acids. And please, never underestimate the power of proper hydration. Research confirms that even mild dehydration can immediately impair your memory and concentration, essentially inducing an artificial state of brain fog. Section 4. Building a neuroprotective plate, the Mind Diet Protocol. How do we actually synthesize all this clinical data into an actionable lifestyle? So the crucial point is this: 40%. Clinical studies show that people eating a diet rich in vegetables, healthy fats, and those targeted neuroprotective foods we've been talking about experience a 40% lower rate of global cognitive decline compared to folks eating a standard, heavily processed Western diet. That is an astonishing level of risk reduction, simply through the power of your fork. And it gets even more compelling. Data from the Rush Memory and Aging Project revealed that participants with high adherence to the Mind Diet exhibited cognitive aging profiles comparable to being 7.5 years younger than their actual chronological age. Just think about that for a second. You can literally turn back the biological clock of your mind by feeding it the exact molecules it requires to repair itself. So here's what that looks like in a modern, practical, daily protocol. This is designed to stabilize your blood sugar, reduce systemic inflammation, and optimize your dopamine and acetylcholine levels all day. Breakfast? Think oatmeal topped with antioxidant-rich blueberries, some walnuts, and a side of eggs for that vital choline. Lunch features leafy greens, salmon, and that amyloid-clearing extra virgin olive oil. Dinner is lean protein like tofu or poultry with colorful vegetables and complex carbs like brown rice. And for snacks, you rely on the vasodilation of dark chocolate or the calm alertness of green tea. This right here is basically a blueprint for cellular armor. Section 5. Sustainable cognitive longevity habits, protecting your brain for the future. Building a resilient brain is all about sustainable long-term habits. When we compare the distinct mechanistic benefits of the major brain health dietary patterns identified in clinical research, a really clear picture emerges. The Mind Diet excels at reducing neuroinflammation to slow overall cognitive deterioration. A properly structured ketogenic approach provides ketones as an alternative, highly efficient brain fuel, which can rapidly improve working memory when you're in a state of metabolic distress. And the classic Mediterranean pattern leverages powerful antioxidant defenses through polyphenols to actively preserve the physical volume of the hippocampus, which is your brain's memory center. And this brilliantly illustrates how different nutritional tools can serve very specific cognitive needs. But honestly, amidst all the complex neuroscience we've covered today, the upregulating of transport proteins, and the intricacies of the gut-brain axis, the foundational truth is actually beautifully simple. As Dr. Wendt from the Cleveland Clinic elegantly puts it, the closer your food is to nature, the more likely it is to be good for your brain. When we finally strip away the heavy processing and the artificial additives, we give our nervous systems the deep restorative nourishment required to truly heal from burnout. Which leaves us with the single most important step, taking action. Look at your next meal. What is one whole food you can add to your plate today to start rescuing your brain? Is it maybe swapping out a highly refined oil for extra virgin olive oil? Is it adding a handful of walnuts or pouring a cup of green tea instead of automatically reaching for that second or third coffee? The neurooptimization protocol begins with just one choice. Make it a powerful one. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.